Hello.
Hello.
What's up, party people? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This behind me is the Liminal Spaces Iceberg. You probably already know what an iceberg is, especially the iceberg chart. But just in case, for the 3 people in the back, I'll give you the Sparks Notes version. It's a very simple concept. The iceberg graph is just a chart that lists things out from least obscure to most obscure. Some things at the top you probably have heard of and or know about to varying degrees, but at least you've heard of it. But as we get deeper and deeper, you'll start to see things that you don't really know, like you don't really know all that well. And as for the topic, I really like liminal spaces. I think they're really cool. I love how eerie they are, and I can't wait to talk about them. I could really go on all day, but I'll try to keep it relatively easy for your brains. And my main source on the topic of liminal spaces, Jaden Salads, is a little burnt out at the moment, so what the heck, might as well make my own. What is a liminal space, you might ask? Well, according to the top of the... I really hope you can't hear my dog barking right now. According to the iceberg that we're going to be looking at, a liminal space is the time between what was and the next. It is a... God, I really hope you... That dog's driving me crazy. A liminal space is a time between what was and the next. It is a place of transition, waiting, and not knowing. Liminal space is where all transformation takes place. If we learn to wait and let it form, if we learn to wait and let it form us. Thank you r/liminal spaces for the excerpt. Or if you want a similar definition for someone who isn't allergic to deodorant, it's just an eerie place that makes you nostalgic yet creeped out at the same time, depending on the image, which is why I like it. I think it's really cool. This iceberg chart was made by True Medium, Silent Chatterbox 52, and Noity. Sorry if I butchered the crap out of those words. I can't read. This iceberg is pretty big. It has over 100 entries in it, but for the sake of time and also for the sake of my mental sanity, I will be cutting some of these. Some of these entries in the iceberg aren't necessarily like liminal spaces. Some of them are just like describing what liminal spaces are, and that goes like all the way down to the bottom. All the way down at the bottom, it says like your house when you move out. Like, yeah, it's an empty house. It's your house moving out. It's not really sure. There's some liminal spaces that will look kind of like that, like some we'll get into relatively soon in layer 1 even, but it doesn't really fit with the iceberg of at least the things that I want to talk about, so I'm just going to cut them. The iceberg also has like ARGs, which ARGs in it of itself are really cool, but when it comes to the iceberg chart that we'll be looking at and liminal spaces as a whole, some of these will fit in, but like that's a whole... ARGs are a whole other can of worms, man, and I don't want to go into that. I will leave the iceberg chart in the description of the video, like the image, hopefully, if I know how to do that. So you can look at it if you want. You can explore all the ARGs if you want, but me personally today, I will not be covering them. That should be good on the whole catching you up side. We should just now be ready to go into the iceberg. So without further ado, the liminal spaces iceberg. Tell me if you like this type of content, I'll do more. Love you, bye. The backrooms. It makes sense that the backrooms is the first image on the iceberg. It's definitely the most common, and there's almost no way that anyone has not heard of it. This image can be tracked down to a 4chan post that was in 2019 with a creepypasta attached. Here's the excerpt attached to the image. If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality into the wrong area, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. There's something about the original Backrooms image that's just so eerie. Maybe it's the color, and how empty it is, and how there's just an outlet on the wall. Like, who's plugging anything in the Backrooms? I gotta charge my phone. But one of the most interesting things about the Backrooms is that it's actually a real location. The real location is in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. The photo was taken in 2004 when it was a furniture store being renovated. Now it's a hobby town. It's even got an RC racetrack inside. So that's kind of cool. A far cry from its eerie original state. The lobby. This iceberg just started and I'm already unaware of one of its entries. Off to a great start. Although through all my research that I've done, I didn't see any images that I recognized, but an empty hotel lobby, or really any lobby for that matter, has a lot of potential to be creepy. It's just the fact that this is a place where you will normally see people, and the lack of people definitely just is unnerving and unsettling. Whether it be a hospital lobby or a lobby for a hotel, there's a lot of different images that I've seen that all invoke really creepy and eerie vibes. Well, some at least. Come on, bro, that's obviously a Holiday Inn. Super Mario 64. This is the first video game entry, and it's the first time I've ever really heard of anything like this. But this entry is pretty self-explanatory, where these are just liminal spaces in Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. Even though in all the Mario games the world is usually very colorful and vibrant, it still makes for a good liminal space when no one is around, especially if you take all the color and whimsy away, and all you're left with is the feeling that something is definitely wrong. Some of these images are obviously edited, but some of these do look very convincing. Liminal space image compilations. This just refers to the fact that if you go onto YouTube or really anywhere on the internet, there's just compilations and compilations of liminal space images, with atmospheric sounds or dreamcore playing in the background. Much like what I'm doing right now, but just compilations of just images. There's a YouTuber called Liminality who has hours of compilations on his channel, and he's definitely not the only one. Liminal spaces created in Minecraft. As this entry suggests, people have recreated many popular liminal spaces in Minecraft. We got the backrooms in Minecraft, we got the flooded subway in Minecraft, and a whole lot more. Some of these recreations are so well made that they almost look real. Like, some of these are pretty spot on. Obviously it helps when you have the mods that make the water very realistic, but other than that, yeah, that's just Minecraft. The End. The End is a very popular image of a mostly empty bookstore containing a computer looking right at the camera and the words "The End" on the wall in the back. When I first saw this image, I thought it was fake, but the image was actually taken out of Business Borders bookstore, try to say that 5 times fast, in 2011 in Linda, California. Liminal Archives. The Liminal Archives is a database of liminal spaces and the creatures who roam in them. Exploring the website a little, you can see an info section about the archives, and it reads, "The Liminal Archives is a decentralized organization focused upon the study, exploration, and documentation of liminal phenomenon. Its members stretch all across the globe and are dedicated to uncovering the mysteries present within liminal spaces." So think about how the SCP is. This is just that for liminal spaces. r/liminal spaces. Man, I ain't talking about Reddit. Chairs. This simple entry is about the vast amounts of liminal spaces with chairs in them. One of the things that makes liminal spaces so intriguing is the lack of people, especially in spaces where we would tend to see a lot of them. Think back to the entry talking about the lobby. Because of the lack of people, it makes the chairs even more weirdly out of place. I really like the images with the chairs I used back as a kid in elementary school. The plastic ones with metal legs, you know the ones. The Caretaker. You might not know who Caretaker is, but you most certainly have heard this song. It's Just a Burning Memory. This song goes very well with liminal space images to really drive up the creepy factor and really ham up the dread. Terminal 4 Holiday Inn Express, Courtyard of Windows. Wow, that's a mouthful. The Courtyard of Windows is a very infamous liminal space, showing a courtyard with tons of, well, windows, and it's all encased in concrete. But the coolest thing about this image is that it's actually a real place, it being in Terminal 4 in London's Heathrow Airport, and just like the name suggests, it's of a Holiday Inn. I don't know why you would have a hotel in an airport, but what do I know? Here's what it looks like, but less creepy.
So this hotel's split in two. So over there you've got Crown Plaza, and then this side is Holiday Inn. And so the Holiday Inn side had these skylights, and my room was that one in the corner, sort of just to the left. But the liminal side is this one, and there is a skylight there, and they are real skylights. They're not LEDs.
The living room. The living room is another very popular liminal image that has made rounds across the internet. It also goes by multiple names, but the living room is on the Iceberg, so I'm going to call it the living room here. It's of a dark and barren room with stairs and other rooms to the left and right, with the room to the right being shrouded in blue, and the room to the left being cut off, being noticeably darker than the rest of the image, besides the stairs. This is more of a simple image compared to all the other images with dark and empty playgrounds or bright fields. But the thing that makes this image work is the nostalgia that it gives off. Like you've seen this basement before, either it be your house in a dream or a friend's house you went to once as a child. And just if you were wondering, yes, this is a real place. Elegiac auras. Elegiac meaning relating to the characteristics of elegy, which is a serious reflection, usually for someone or something that is gone. And if you're thinking, oh, don't you mean eulogy? No, apparently those are two different things, but basically the same thing, because they mean, like, the same thing. God, I love English. But back to the Iceberg. This entry is just describing how liminal spaces usually give the feeling of mourning or sorrow, which is a great way to describe a liminal space. The only reason I add this to the Iceberg and leave out all the other things that just describe icebergs is because if you Google this specifically, it will take you to some really good liminal spaces. And I know that r/liminal spaces kinda does the same thing. Yeah, you can do that too, but you know, Reddit. Flooded subway. Another popular image that has become a liminal space is the flooded subway. With all the normal features of a casual subway, but with a weird twist of it being completely flooded with water. I think the weirdest part of this image, besides the subway being flooded, the bright lights still being on. Trying to light the tunnels for travelers now being more of a deterrent because of its unsettling nature. But just like many of these other popular entries, this image is actually, you guessed it, taken in a real flooded subway in Japan. Sanatorium Ingle. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again with another water-based entry. Water and liminal spaces usually go hand in hand. I don't know what it is that makes poor quality images with water in them such captivating liminal spaces, but I don't know if I'll ever get enough of them. This image is of a sanatorium, which is a place where people go to treat chronic injuries or other illnesses. And here's some more just as creepy images around the same sanatorium throughout the building. Washington Square Mall. This is the first mall on the list, and it's a doozy. Almost every image I see of this mall online is equal parts amazing and equal parts terrifying. After some research, I found out the Washington Square Mall opened its doors in 1974 and was renovated in 1999, just before the turn of the century, and has been declining in attendance since, leaving it mostly empty apart from a Target, Finish Line, and an AMC movie theater. Imagine working in a Target attached to a dead mall, which it too looks to be mostly empty. Hello, party people. Thanks a lot for watching. If I sound any different, it's because I'm sick. You know, all that good stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next part. Bye-bye.